can't breathe.
The nurse's key scraped the lock on her bottom drawer. Inside, something she shouldn't have needed to buy, a rescue inhaler, box still crisp. Purchased with quiet desperation and a personal credit card.
Slowly now. In through your nose. I've got you, Joshua.
That morning, Linda Thompson used a $280 secret to pull a child back from the edge. 4 months later, a Gulfstream jet would land on the school's football field. The man inside would ask for her by name. It began on an October morning when a new student named Joshua Cole walked into Browning Elementary. His file arrived ahead of him. Severe persistent asthma. Mother works 2 jobs. Insurance lapsed, and in the margin, a handwritten note, can't afford refill. An 8-year-old boy, miles from the nearest hospital, whose next breath depended on a medicine his mother couldn't pay for. Linda Thompson had been the nurse at Browning Elementary for 8 years. She'd seen asthma before. But something in that scrawled note made her stomach drop.
Nurse Thompson, I am Michelle, Joshua's mama. I called about his breathing plan. We lost Medicaid last month. Paperwork mess up. His rescue inhaler is $280 now. I can't. I don't have it.
Linda watched Joshua at recess that afternoon. He sat alone on the bench, chest heaving, clutching nothing but air.
He can't last the winter like this. Not without medicine.
The pharmacy printout was blunt, fluticasone, propionate, HFA. Rescue inhaler 280.000. Insurance rejected. Linda stared at the asthma action plan on her clipboard. Empty boxes where medication on file should go.
I swore I'd never let another child die for lack of an inhaler. Not after Marcus.
That evening, she opened her savings account app. $312.76. What she had scraped together for a new transmission.
That boy needs to breathe. The car can wait.
The next morning, she slid her debit card across the pharmacy reader without hesitating. The rescue inhaler went into the locked bottom drawer of her filing cabinet before the first bell.
Miss Cole, I've placed Joshua's rescue inhaler in my office. Whenever he needs it, we'll have it.
But the copay? How did you?
That's not your concern. What matters is your son can breathe. If he needs it at home, call me.
Shelley pressed her hands on Linda's desk, her shoulders shaking.
You got him to school. That's enough for me.
From then on, Linda walked Joshua through breathing exercises at every recess.
My lungs feel stronger. Like I can beat the other kids running.
She locked the drawer and dropped the key in her pocket. For 4 months, nobody asked where the medicine came from. Over the months, Linda and Joshua became a familiar sight at the edge of the field. The nurse who walked a boy through shallow breaths like a metronome.
Nurse Linda, I drew my dad. He's like a superhero who fights asthma.
Linda looked at the crayon figure, a caped man holding a blue bottle. An old, cold ache opened in her chest 30 years ago, in a cramped living room in Macon. She'd watched her brother Marcus take his last breath. No superhero arrived. No inhaler.
Linda, honey, you can't save every child. Marcus was a tragedy, but you can't bleed yourself dry.
Mama, I know, but this boy is right in front of me. I can't let him die for 2,800 pennies.
After she hung up, she stared at the photo of Marcus on her nightstand. The shy, gap-toothed grin frozen in 3rd grade.
Can I keep the drawing? I want to give it to my dad if he ever comes back. I don't remember his face, so I gave him a mask.
You deserve someone who shows up without a mask. Someone who doesn't need a superhero costume to care.
Linda tucked the drawing into her desk, next to Marcus's photo. 2 boys, 2 promises. 1 nurse holding herself together. 800 miles away, in a glass-walled Houston high-rise, Darius Cole flipped through a monthly compliance audit the way other men flipped through junk mail. Then his thumb stopped on a single line item, highlighted in yellow. Inhaler, purchased by school nurse RN Linda.
A school nurse paid for my son's medicine, and I didn't even know he couldn't breathe.
His daughter, Amaya, lay in a Dallas hospital bed 2 floors below his office, newly diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. Another child he'd been too absent to save.
Get me my pilot. I don't care what's on the schedule. Clear it.
By midnight, The Gulf Stream was fueled and facing east, its cabin silent except for the hum of a man wrestling with a decade of guilt.
I can't face Amaya until I face Joshua, and I can't face Joshua until I thank this woman.
The jet sliced through the cold February air toward a rural Georgia field no plane had ever touched. Linda Thompson didn't know it yet, but a reckoning was airborne, and it would touch down on her football field at dawn. Friday morning, Linda was refilling a supply cart when a low rumble vibrated through the hallway floor. Not a truck. Something bigger.
Nurse Thompson to the football field, immediately.
Linda grabbed the manila folder off her desk and looked out the window. A white aircraft was descending over the pine trees. The Gulf Stream's wheels touched the grass with a soft hiss, rolling to a stop on the 50-yard line. Joshua was leaning against the lockers in the hallway, the inhaler still in his grip from a mild episode. She took his hand and pulled him forward. At the field's edge, they stopped. The jet's door was lowering, and a tall figure stepped into the morning light. A man in a charcoal suit and dark sunglasses strode across the 50-yard line, a leather portfolio in one hand. A second man, silent and broad, followed a few steps behind. Principal Davis stood at the school's back exit, arms crossed, phone in hand. She'd never seen a jet on her field. Linda's hand tightened on Joshua's shoulder. She didn't know who this was, but she knew nothing would ever go back to normal. The man stopped 10 feet from them and removed his sunglasses. His eyes were red-rimmed, desperate.
Are you Linda Thompson, the nurse who bought my son his inhaler?
Who's asking? And why does a man in a $3,000 suit land a jet on a school field?
I am Darius Cole, Joshua's father. I haven't seen him in 5 years. I know he might not remember me.
Joshua's small hand clamped down on Linda's wrist. His inhaler dangled from his other hand, trembling.
5 years. And you show up now? Because I bought a 2,800 penny medicine? Where were you when he was gasping on the playground?
I know I have no right, but that line item stopped my heart. A stranger stepped up when I stepped away. I flew all night to thank you.
Linda pulled Joshua closer, shielding him with her coat. The jet engine ticked in the silence. Principal Davis moved closer, phone raised. This was beyond any protocol she'd ever trained for.
Dad, you have a mask on in my drawing. Did you come to fight my asthma?
I didn't come to fight asthma, son. I came because I am losing. Every day.
He fumbled with the leather portfolio, and a photograph slipped out. A girl about 12, tubes in her nose, sitting in a hospital bed.
My daughter, Amaya, cystic fibrosis. She's 12. I can't look her in the eye until I face the son I abandoned first.
So this isn't about Joshua. It's about clearing your conscience so you can be a father to your new family.
Then let me pay you back $50,000 for the inhaler, for everything.
Linda's hand came down flat on the leather, sealing it shut.
My $280 was a gift. You cannot buy that back. Not with all the jet fuel in Texas.
She doesn't want my money. That terrifies me more than any boardroom.
If you truly want to make this right, it will cost more than a check. But you are not ready to hear that yet.
She turned. Joshua still pressed against her side and walked back toward the school. The Gulf Stream sat silent on the 50-yard line, an unanswered question. Linda led them into the small conference room. Principal Davis shut the door behind her. On the table lay a laminated county map and a spreadsheet of unfilled prescriptions from all 3 elementary schools.
You want to make this right? Fund a program for every child in this county. Inhalers, EpiPens, insulin, braces, anonymously, for 10 years.
That's millions.
You just offered me a check for $50,000 without blinking. You land a jet on a football field. Money isn't your problem.
We have a draft memorandum ready. It covers the entire district, all public schools, with annual reviews.
Darius pressed his fingers against his temples, staring at the county map as if it were a balance sheet he couldn't balance.
I need a minute.
He stood, leaving the leather portfolio closed on the table, and walked back toward the field. Linda watched him go, her hands folded. The principal began typing. For the first time, Linda felt like she might win. Inside the Gulf Stream, Darius sat alone, his daughter's photograph on the polished table before him.
Draft the endowment. Cole Health Initiative. Every emergency medication for every child in Browning County. 10 years, anonymous with annual audits. If I can't fix yesterday, at least I can build tomorrow. I have to start somewhere.
He walked back into the conference room, the leather portfolio now open on the table.
You have your program. Anonymous, just like you asked. And I'll pursue supervised re-entry with my son. Whatever the court requires.
Principal Davis uncapped her pen and signed the Memorandum of Understanding without hesitation.
This isn't a victory yet. The real work starts when you show up next Friday. Don't make me regret this.
I'll be here. Every other Friday, on that field. I'll wait as long as it takes for him to trust me.
Below the signatures, a line was added. Visitation schedule to commence Friday, the 14th of February at 9 a.m. The Gulf Stream that had landed like a threat would now return as a promise. The 50-yard line was officially a runway to second chances. Word reached Shelley at her second job. She rushed to the school, still in her uniform, and found Joshua alone on a hallway bench, drawing.
Joshua, that man on the field. He's your father. He came back for you.
No. My dad is gone. He left when I was little. That's not him.
Joshua pushed past Linda, who had just walked in from the conference room, and hid behind her, burying his face in her wool coat.
Joshua, I am sorry. I know I hurt you. I am not asking for forgiveness today. I just want a chance.
You cannot buy his love any more than you could buy my forgiveness. Words won't fix this. Time will. Show up every other Friday and prove you mean it.
I don't know what to think. But if you are serious, then you'll be here. We'll see.
I'll be here. Every other Friday on this field. I won't miss a single one.
Linda felt Joshua's small body trembling against her. She stroked his hair, the way she used to with her brother. The jet didn't leave until sundown. When it finally rose, Joshua watched from the window, his drawing of the masked superhero pressed against the glass.
He'll meet you on the field. Neutral ground. No offices, no forced conversations. And I'll be there.
A county social worker was assigned to supervise calm, experienced, and bound by the same court order that had first flagged the inhaler.
I'll be on time. I'll bring nothing but myself. No checks, no portfolios.
We'll keep the school open. This is unconventional, but if it helps a student, we'll make it work.
Darius walked back across the field in the fading light, glancing at the school windows before boarding the jet.
Is he really coming back? Or is he just another grown-up who leaves?
I think he's trying. You don't have to trust him yet. Just give him a chance to try.
She pulled the drawing of the masked superhero from her pocket and pressed it into his small hand. Joshua stared at it, then pressed it against the glass as the jet's beacon blinked and rose into the dusk. A calendar on Linda's desk bore a single red circle. The 14th of February. The first visitation. Nothing was certain. A shipment arrived at Browning Elementary. Boxes of rescue inhalers, EpiPens, and insulin kits. The Cole Health Initiative's first delivery. In the faculty lounge, a teacher whispered, "A jet lands here, and now free medicine. Something doesn't add up."
They'll never understand. This isn't about me. It's about every child who doesn't have a superhero.
That evening, she called her mother.
Mama, I did what you taught me. I gave without wanting thanks.
Good. That's how you keep your soul. But tell me, are you at peace?
I am trying. I think Marcus would be proud.
After the call, Linda sat by the window, holding the first inhaler she'd bought for Joshua. Empty now, a relic. Outside, the football field was dark and still. In 2 weeks, the jet would return. But tonight, she was just a woman who kept her word.
I didn't save him. I just gave him air.
February 14th, 9 in the morning. The Gulf Stream descended over the pines, quieter than its first arrival. Expected, Darius stepped out with no briefcase, no sunglasses. He carried only a worn football and knelt on the grass at the 50-yard line.
Hey, Joshua, want to throw the ball? No rush. Just if you feel like it.
Joshua looked back at Linda, who stood with the social worker. She gave a small nod, the same she gave him before his breathing exercises. They stood 10 yards apart, the football arcing between them in a lopsided rhythm. Neither spoke. The ball said what they couldn't. A gust of cold air made Joshua cough, and Darius froze, his face tightening. But Linda called out, "He's fine, just breathe through it." Joshua pulled out his inhaler, took a puff, then threw the ball back harder than before. An act of defiance or maybe trust.
Time's up for today. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Same field, same time.
See you next time.
Linda put her hand on Joshua's shoulder. That went okay. He nodded, still watching the jet taxi toward the runway. The calendar on Linda's wall filled with red circles. Every other Friday, the jet became as regular as the school bus.
My dad's plane is landing. He teaches me to throw spirals.
Linda logged the numbers. Asthma incidents at Browning Elementary had dropped by 40% since the initiative began.
Miss Thompson, I don't know how to thank you. He talks about his dad now, not just the superhero.
It's not me. He's doing the work. I am just the one who bought the first inhaler.
From her office window, Linda watched Darius and Joshua play catch on the field. The social worker sat reading. Joshua no longer needed his inhaler before throwing. His lungs grew stronger, and so did his trust.
Maybe I didn't just give him air. Maybe I gave him time.
6 months in, the field was no longer a battleground. It was a meeting ground.
Dad, did you ever fly that plane upside down?
A thick gust of pollen swept across the field. Joshua dropped the ball, clutched his chest, and crumpled to his knees, lips turning pale.
Joshua. Linda, help. He can't breathe.
Linda sprinted from the sideline, pulling the rescue inhaler from her coat pocket before her feet even touched the grass.
Shake it. Put it in his mouth. Press. Now, Darius, now.
Darius's fingers trembled as he pressed the canister. Joshua inhaled, choked, then sucked in a ragged breath. Linda's hands stayed steady on his back. Color returned to Joshua's face. He looked up at his father, bewildered, still wheezing softly.
I am sorry. I am so sorry. I should have been here. I almost lost him.
He's okay. But now you know. It's not about jet fuel or checks. It's about being here when he can't breathe.
Darius pulled Joshua into his chest, burying his face in the boy's navy hoodie. Linda stepped back, her hand over her mouth. When the jet lifted off that evening, it carried a man who finally understood. The most expensive thing he ever owned couldn't buy his son a single breath. 1 year after the Gulfstream first touched down, Darius Cole gathered the staff in the same conference room. The laminated map was now framed on the wall.
The Cole Health Initiative is now endowed. It will fund life-saving medication for every student in this county forever. And because one nurse proved that a single act can change a system, I am establishing the Linda Thompson Nursing Scholarship. 12 future nurses, every year, full ride.
Linda pressed a hand to her chest. She hadn't expected a plaque, let alone a legacy.
This isn't for me. It's for my brother Marcus, who didn't get an inhaler. And for my mama, who taught me to give without waiting for thanks.
You changed this whole county, Linda. One $280 purchase rippled into a future none of us could see.
The children in the front row, some of them holding the very inhalers the program provided, applauded until their hands hurt. A bronze plaque was mounted by the school entrance. Cole Health Initiative, because every child deserves to breathe.
I finally kept my promise, Marcus. I didn't let another one go.
The football field stood empty that night, the goalposts silhouetted against a purple sky. The jet would return in 2 weeks. But for now, the field was just a field, and Linda was just a nurse who refused to look away. A local news van pulled up to Browning Elementary. The reporter found Linda by the foot-and-filling finish naturally. The reporter found Linda by the football field, under the goalpost where the jet first landed. The reporter asked, "Why did you pay $280 out of your own pocket for a boy you didn't know?"
Because I've seen what happens when someone can't afford it. My brother died that way, right in front of me.
The camera held steady on her face.
I wasn't trying to be a hero. I just had the money. And he needed the breath.
She wouldn't take a dime from me. Instead, she built a system that will outlast us all.
The statement aired statewide that night. They called it the $280 Ripple. By morning, the scholarship fund had received 300 applications. Donations poured in from strangers who'd never heard of Browning County.
I don't need my face on television. I need every school nurse to have what they need.
She turned off the television and walked to the football field. The jet wasn't there, but she could still hear its echo. The family court hearing took place on a Thursday morning. Linda and the social worker testified to 12 months of consistent, supervised visitation. The judge shook his head and said, "I've never seen a jet as a visitation vehicle. But if it works, it works. It works." Joint custody was granted. The football field of Browning Elementary became the legally designated exchange point.
I get to go flying, Dad.
He's never called anyone dad before.
I waited 5 years to hear that.
The jet returned that Friday on schedule, not as a threat, but as a taxi service for a boy and his father. The calendar on Linda's wall now circles every other Friday without hesitation. A year ago, a single red circle was a question. Now it was a promise kept on the field. Joshua ran to meet the jet, his inhaler in his pocket, no longer in his hand.
He's breathing on his own. So am I.
After the visitation, as Joshua ran back to the school with Shelley, Darius asked Linda to walk the field. The jet sat waiting, engines off.
You gave me back my son, Linda. I could write a check for $100 million and it wouldn't scratch the surface.
It was never about money. But you should know the real reason I bought that inhaler. My little brother Marcus died from asthma when he was 7. I watched him turn blue in our living room. No inhaler. No money. No one to help. When I saw Joshua wheezing on that bench, I saw Marcus. I thought, maybe if I save this one, I haven't failed my brother.
You carried that alone for 30 years. And I showed up with my guilt and my jet, thinking I could buy absolution.
You helped me let go. You showed up, week after week. That's the only payment that matters.
I came looking for forgiveness for my daughter. I found it for myself. And I have you to thank.
The jet engines hummed to life. Darius walked toward the stairs, leaving Linda alone at the 50-yard line. She stood there until the lights faded. For the first time in 3 decades, she didn't hear her brother's last breath. She only heard the wind. 3 years later, the Gulfstream still landed on the football field every other Friday. No one flinched anymore.
Nurse Linda, I made the travel baseball team.
You haven't used an inhaler in 2 years. Marcus, look at him.
The jet touched down with a familiar hiss, and a tall, graying Darius stepped out. No longer in a suit, holding a glove and a baseball. Joshua ran toward him, not the hesitant boy who once hid behind a coat, but a kid who owned the field.
Dad, I pitched a no-hitter.
With those lungs, I believe it, son.
Linda watched from her office window, a slight smile curving her lips. The field was a field again. A $280 inhaler started it all. But what kept it going was trust, and the jet would keep landing. The cabinets at Browning Elementary stayed stocked. Not with charity, but with a system built to outlast any single person. Children who never knew a plane once landed in fear now grabbed their EpiPens and inhalers without wondering where they came from. The football field at dawn still held the faint grooves of Gulfstream tires, but they were just marks now, nothing more. Linda stood at the sideline, arms crossed, her camel coat replaced by a light cardigan. The jet in the distance looked small and familiar.
He breathes on his own, and so do I.
The sun sank behind the goalposts, painting the field gold. It was just a field again. Yet it was also the most valuable runway in the state. In her office, Linda glanced at the photo of Marcus. The first empty inhaler sat next to it, a paperweight for a memory.
I kept my promise, Marcus. I didn't let another one go.
In rural Georgia, a school nurse taught a billionaire that the most expensive things aren't what you buy, they're what you give, and that field would keep waiting every other Friday for a jet that always came back.